What if the Qur'an began not with a story, not with a command, but with 3 letters? Alif Lam Ra, read yet unexplained, seen yet undefined. Why would revelation start here? What secret lies in these symbols, so small yet so profound? Before words, before narrative, before meaning itself, the Qur'an whispers a mystery. Some doors cannot be opened without the key. These letters are that key. They are not decoration, they are intention, a signal that wisdom itself is about to descend.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
In the name of Allah, the Compassionate, the Merciful.
To understand the wisdom of the disjointed letters, it is first wise to link it from worldly examples. Before words ever form, meaning already exists. A traffic light needs no sentence to command us. Red does not explain itself, yet everyone understands. A single symbol on a screen can summon an entire world of information without speaking a word. Even in music, a single note can carry emotion long before a melody is completed. Human language itself is built this way. Letters are not neutral shapes, especially in Arabic, intertwined with God sending the message through the tongue of the Prophet and then written for the Quran. Remove one letter and the meaning of an entire word collapses. So when only letters are placed deliberately at the opening of revelation, they are not decoration, they are intention, hiding something which is highly esoteric.
This is why Surah Yusuf does not begin with a story, nor with a command, but with 3 letters, Alif Lam Ra. They stand before meaning like a key before a door. Where a locksmith can enter a door without a key, this is impossible with letters of the wise Qur'an. In outward reading, they are simply letters. In inner reality, letters are not isolated. They are signs, containers of light, whose meanings unfold through living explanation. Just as symbols in the world require context to be understood, the Qur'an's letters require guidance to be unveiled. Alif stands alone, upright, without curvature, signifying origin, oneness, and axis. Lam bends and connects, signifying mediation, relationship, and transmission. Ra flows forward, suggesting movement, unfolding, and divine vision. Together, they announce a living reality in the form of a perfect man, a revelation that will descend as words, yet rise through meaning.
When the Quran in Surah Yusuf, chapter 12, verse 1, begins with Alif Lam Ra, it immediately follows with the declaration, "Those are the verses of the wise book." This connection is deliberate. These letters already belong to the category of ayat, signs, indications, wonders, and miracles before any narrative or command begins. God also swears elsewhere by the supreme pen, the guarded tablet, and the rakim, the writing preserved within that tablet. Rakim and markum both mean writing, but not ordinary writing. They refer to a fixed, luminous inscription, a knowledge that is already complete and safeguarded. In Surah Al-Buruj, chapter 85, verses 21 and 22, the Quran states, "Bal huwa Qur'anun Majid fi lawhin mahfuz." Rather, it is a glorious Quran preserved in a guarded tablet. The guarded tablet is not a physical object floating in space. Its inner reality is the light of the Imam Mubin, the manifest guide in whom divine knowledge is protected, ordered, and made accessible to the world. After declaring that Alif Lam Ra are themselves among the verses of the wise book, the Quran does more than identify letters, it places them under divine emphasis. In the language of revelation, this emphasis functions as an oath. God does not draw attention to anything trivial, nor does he swear by what lacks rank. Whatever he elevates stands nearest to him in ontological proximity, purity, and function. The objection arises, how can letters be worthy of such elevation? This is the same question that appears elsewhere in the Quran, when God swears by seemingly ordinary things. The answer is Tawil, not literalism. Hakim Sayyid Pir Nasir-i Khusrau in Wajh-i-Din explains the oaths in Surah 95, by the fig and the olive, by Mount Sinai, and by this peaceful city. Exoterically, these are ordinary objects. They are not creators, they are signs. God swears not by their form, but by the living realities they signify.
Through Tawil, the fig is revealed as the universal intellect, linked directly to the divine command, be, without intermediary. It nourishes the soul completely. The olive signifies the universal soul, which receives from the intellect and transmits selectively. Pure is retained, corrupt is discarded. Mount Sinai represents the Natik, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wasallam, whose outer form may appear austere, yet whose inner reality holds hidden gems of wisdom. The peaceful city represents the Asas alayhi salam, the guide who resolves doubt, grants certainty, and brings spiritual peace. When this pattern is applied to the disjoined letters, their function becomes unmistakable. Alif, Lam, Ra are not phonetic fragments awaiting completion. They are symbolic condensations of the entire hierarchy of guidance. On the celestial level, the supreme pen, the guarded tablet, and the luminous inscription. On the earthly level, the Prophet as Natik and the Imam as Asas. Thus, the disjoined letters do not precede the Quran accidentally. They stand at its threshold as a declaration. This book cannot be entered without recognition of the living reality through whom its wisdom flows. Just as the fig, olive, mountain, and city point beyond themselves, the letters point beyond ink and sound to the perfect human reality in whom the Quran's light is embodied. To deny this is to repeat the error of those who see only paper and ink and fail to recognize divine speech. The Quran and the Imam are not two authorities, but one light in two forms. The elevation of the disjoined letters is not ornamentation, it is proof embedded at the very opening of revelation. Now the letters themselves begin to speak. Aleph stands first, upright and singular. In inner meaning, it signifies Azal and Abad, beginninglessness and endlessness, the first and last, Awal and Akhir, Surah Al-Hadid. It represents the light of Muhammad and Ali, the divine pen, the divine throne, and the universal intellect. Lam signifies mediation and connection, the universal soul, the divine tablet, the supreme soul, and the supreme human. Ra brings movement and manifestation, linked to Rakim, vision, and Wajhullah, the face of God, where divine reality is encountered. Together, they silently announce the entire architecture of revelation, from the universal intellect, through the universal soul, into manifest vision and lived reality. Only then does the Quran declare, "Those are the verses of the wise book." The story of Yusuf that follows is an unfolding of this very structure,
origin, mediation, and manifestation.
The Quran is one of the two permanent sensory miracles of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wasallam. Its miraculous nature is not limited to spiritual insight, but encompasses the totality of exoteric and esoteric knowledge. Surah Al-Isra, chapter 17, verse 88 affirms, "Even if all humans and jinn united, they could not produce its like." The Quran is entirely wisdom. Letters, words, and verses are present before the senses, yet their inner realities cannot be analyzed or reconstructed. Even translations and explanations touch only the surface. The inner meanings unfold in 7 Tawils, or 70 in other sources, beyond independent intellect. The living Imam is the guardian of the Quran's light. Just as the Quran is divine speech in letters, the Imam is divine light in human form. To reject the Imam because of his outward appearance is like rejecting the Quran because it appears as text.
Thus, the permanent physical presence of the Imam of the time, alayhi salam, stands as the second permanent sensory miracle of the Holy Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wasallam, inseparably linked to the Quran and its disjointed letters. Alif Lam Ra are not mere symbols, they are the key to the living source of guidance, pointing toward the perfect human reality. Before Yusuf is mentioned, before trials and dreams are narrated, the Quran establishes authority, teaching the listener to recognize the source so meaning can descend, unfold, and be seen.
Surah Yusuf opens with 3 letters, not by accident, but as a lesson. True understanding begins with recognition. Letters are containers of light. The Quran is a living miracle, and the Imam is its guardian. In a world full of distraction and surface understanding, this opening reminds us, wisdom is not grasped at a glance. It descends, it unfolds, and it becomes visible only through living guidance. To approach revelation is to approach both the words on the page and the living light who embodies them.
Wisdom does not announce itself loudly. It waits behind signs, letters, and living light. Subscribe, reflect, comment, click the bell, and continue the spiritual journey ahead.